Hello everyone. So this is Chitissa Bowman and I'm Steve Bowman and we're coming to you live using Facebook Live.
Hello, hey.
Susie won't be joining us live today. She's in the middle of traveling and she's got lots of things on at the moment, but she's saying hi to everyone. When we were looking at, so what can horses actually teach us with leadership? What can they bring out with us, from us, to us, in conjunction with us? We came up with 5 key things, which is really how we're going to be exploring this whole notion over 3 days of leadership. Now, leadership is not just leading other people. In fact, that's probably the worst definition of leadership. Leadership is where you are willing to be what is required to be and to create the change that's actually required without any thought given to other people's judgments or conclusions, being aware of them, but not buying them as real. So that's true leadership. And what we find is the gift of horses in all of this, which is why we're so excited by this, is in these 5 key areas. And the first one is really expanding your zone of awareness so that you are actually willing to be able to be aware, not just of people around you, but of everything, of the whole world.
Well, how often we heard people say that you need to function from awareness. And if you expand your awareness, your life will expand. Now, how many people know what that's like, or what it's like to be in that space? Well, the horses definitely have capacity to create the space for you to be that, to experience that, and to embody and be that.
And
I'm speaking from my own personal
and from that
experience.
space, you can call upon this at any time. Heaven forbid you should be this all the time. However, you, once having been there, you can never go back. And so this is one of the great gifts of being with horses, because they will tell you immediately when you have contracted your zone of awareness. They will also tell you immediately when you've expanded your zone of awareness. And what that allows you to do as a leader is to be aware of everything that you need to be aware of.
We have a lot of exercises. Or Susie in particular would have a lot of exercises to facilitate people with the horses to know how you are doing in terms of expanding your zone of awareness. It's a very fun, exciting exercise.
And you get to meet a whole lot of real cowboys too.
And it's not about riding horses. You're not going to be riding any horses during the training.
Yeah, although if you do like riding horses, you can do it after class. So there's all those possibilities. So expanding your zone of awareness is really then, from a leadership perspective, being willing to be aware of the future, being willing to be aware of what actually is coming up on the horizon, being willing to be aware of the predators that are out there and knowing what to do about it.
And future possibilities as well.
This is your zone of awareness that every leader, every good leader, every conscious leader, whether they're in a corporate, whether they're just at home, or whether they are creating their own business, this is what creates the definable moment or the undefinable moment that allows them to actually create what needs to be created. So that's the first one, expanding your zone of awareness. The second one, briefly, is being with the horses. We'll show you exercises, and the horses will show you when you're actually being present in the moment. Because when you're not present in the moment, the horse will walk away. It'll probably show you its bottom as it walks away. When you are present in the moment, it'll do whatever is required from you, so that you know that being present in the moment has an immediate impact, not only on yourself, but everyone and everything around you. So there'll be some great discussions around that. What does that look like in business? What does it look like in home? What does it look like with your family? Makes Christmas a lot easier. So being present in the moment is an incredibly powerful one. The third one is self-awareness. People talk about self-awareness, but really don't know what it means. So with some of the exercises we've got, some of the discussions and the explorations, actually really fine-tuning your ability, your capacity to actually truly be self-aware and know what it's like. And then the fourth one is trust. This is a big one, and we could talk on all day, but just trusting in yourself. The biggest issue we've found with people when they talk about money, or they talk about relationship, or they talk about wealth, is trusting themselves, knowing that they know.
And create a space that people will trust you as well. If you don't have that space that people will trust you, will anyone want to work with you? So trust is so crucial, but it has to start with you. If you don't trust yourself, if you don't trust your capacity to be, to have, create, and generate, will anyone trust you? And this is go for being a mother, being father, being an entrepreneur, running a small business, or be a corporate executive. Trust is so crucial. Learning to trust yourself.
Mm-hmm. So trust is the fourth area that we'll definitely be covering, and again some exercises with the horses that make it a visceral experience. Good luck, translators, with that one. So that you can actually feel it, you can be this trust, and knowing that trust is not just blind faith. Trust is actually having, first and foremost, trust in yourself. Okay, and then the fifth and last one is be in charge. Because when you're willing to be in charge, it means that you're willing to have clarity about what is required. Not necessarily how, but what is required. And being in charge has an energy to it that people just want to follow. So when you're in charge, then people and animals will follow. And this is one of the great things that you'll learn with horses, is when you are that energy of being in charge, not the force and effort of it, but the invitation of being in charge, then the horse will do anything that is required without you having to actually say anything.
Yeah, I have a story about that specifically.
Tell
I
us,
know you.
Brett. I know.
I know you guys have seen the the video from that Conscious Horse Conscious Rider class. So I went to this Conscious Horse Conscious Rider class that was facilitated by Susie Godsey and Gary Douglas, who is the founder of this thing called Access Consciousness, and so it was the first morning, and we were doing this exercise of lunging horses. And if you don't know what lunging a horse is, I didn't know what it was at the time either. But basically, you have the horse on a lead rope, and basically you want to get the horse to like trot around you in a circle. And so I started doing this, and boy, I learned so much about what I was being and what I also wasn't willing to be at that time. Because boy, the horse ended up lunging me basically. I was like running around the horse, like trying to get it to go around, and I was so confused about what to do, and I wasn't like taking lead in the situation. And so that level of confusion that was going on in my world, the horse was also really confused. It was like, what do you want from me? And then it was also very funny for people to watch.
I've got it on a loop.
Yeah.
But can you imagine as a leader walking into a meeting, if you are confused or you're a bit, you've got some angst or whatever it might be, what that creates in that meeting also is that, again, that notion of harmonic entrainment, where what you're willing to be is actually what creates other people's energetic entrainment to what it is that you're bringing into that room. So if you're willing to be that sense of being in charge, in a sense that you have no conclusion in your world, and that is what can actually change everything when you're working with people, when you're working with others.
As the leader of a business, though, who you are being, the energy, space, and consciousness that you are choosing to be, actually more important than your capacity to do leadership, because people might not actually know or think that they read energies, but everyone read energy. And if you are weak, and if you don't trust your capacity, you don't trust your awareness, people will pick that up. So if you function from expanded zone of awareness and you go into a major intense negotiation or board uh, meeting or any kind of meeting, and you go from the space of expanded zone of awareness, from trusting yourself, from generosity of spirit, from being everything that you could possibly be, you can entrain everyone to receive and to be with you from that space. And how amazing would that be if you actually know what that's like, feel like, and be like.
And horses exponentialize the rate of change, and this is why we're using them. So, look, I think that's probably enough for people to give them a taste of what's coming up. The 5 key areas: expanding your zone of awareness, being present in the moment, self-awareness, trust, being in charge. So,
Awesome.
Chitissa, back onto horses. So, the way that it changed her life, because actually all 4 of us were there, Chitissa included. Was Susie there? I can't remember.
Susie was
there.
definitely there.
Yeah.
Totally by my side the whole time, just to allow me to see different ways of being with horses.
Yeah. And also, there's something so amazing about getting over a fear and then realizing that you don't have to be worried about that for the rest of your life. Like now, I bet you could hop on a horse, and it might not be the most ease-filled moment to step between now and getting on a horse. But when you come up to a horse, whether anyone watching has a sort of any kind of fear of being around these enormous animals, to be able to actually receive from them and realize that they actually have your back and they can actually help take care of you, like that doesn't really happen in the world very often. It's like when you get in a car, does a car take care of you? Could it take care of you? And how does any of that really have to do with leadership? But when we actually start being able to trust the beings, the people around us that do have our back, that maybe we've been a little suspicious of, but we start to actually get a sense of trusting ourselves and knowing who is okay to trust and who isn't. It's like that opens up so many possibilities. Because like Brett, for example, grew up in New York, where the main point of view is who's like fucking me over, and in what way and in what direction is this terrible thing that's about to happen coming from. And being around horses, it totally, like, has it eliminated that? It just seems like that sort of has been gone from your world after being around horses.
Totally. I mean, I started playing with horses maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, and I didn't really have a lot of trust in myself and like having my own back. And I did this exercise with a horse called the trust exercise. That's part of Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider. That,
And this is the exercise that Chutisa did also. So it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically just leaning back on a horse with no saddle, no reins, no anything, and just letting the horse actually take care of you. And from that moment, I gained this level of trust in me and that willingness to actually like totally let go and let someone else like take care of me. And it's this big animal. It's amazing how much changed. And I wonder how many people in the business world, how many executives out there function that way, where they're doing their best damn job and they don't actually have that trust in themselves and the trust in their own choices.
Well, it's interesting because I come from a slightly different perspective on all of this, because I grew up on a farm, and I still remember, and I grew up on a horse to some extent, although the horse would probably disagree with that. But I still remember the first time I learned how to ride downhill. I was a jackaroo, which is the version of an Australian cowboy, for about 2 years. And I remember distinctly learning how to ride downhill. I was at the top of a very large mountain, and the 2 others with me hit the back of my horse and said, "Here, learn." And that's how I learned how to ride downhill. So one of the things I've learned being with horses probably in the last 15 years is, because I've been a CEO, I've been directors of boards, I've been chair of boards, all those things, is that what the horses allow me to actually tap into is that sense of space, that sense of awareness, which I didn't know about. So therefore I was trying to do leadership rather than be a leader. And what the horses have been able to provide me is with that gift of knowing what it's like to actually be in that zone of awareness, so that I can take that into the boardrooms, I can take it into dealing with people generally and know what it's like. And this is the great gift, because they provide such immediate feedback that you can immediately see if you're not being present.
For me, the first thing that the horse the horses facilitated me is to see that whenever I judge anything like that, I'm afraid or fear, I always have to ask myself, is that true? Because when I said I was afraid of horses and I'm afraid of riding horses, that was just a lie. Because I bought the point of view that the only way to be with horses is to ride horses. So if I don't choose to ride horses, I didn't see it as a choice. I didn't see that it's not the choice that I would enjoy riding, but enjoy being with them. So from that space, I had a point of view that because I didn't want to ride the horses, I'm afraid of them. How often we misidentify, misapply what actually is in our life, in our awareness, from thinking that's fearful or afraid. In fact, it's not the choice. So if we can able to say, we're not choosing to do that, there's something so much more to do with every situation, whether it's wealth creation, whether it's leadership, whether it's business building. If we stuck ourselves in the mistaken point of view, we stuck ourselves in a lie. So that in itself, being with horses, allow me to unstuck myself from a lie that I bought into, from a lie that I've created from other people reality, that other people reality like horses and like to ride horses. If I didn't, then I'm afraid of them. If I kept myself stuck in that space, I wouldn't have written the book. I wouldn't have facilitate classes because I stuck myself in a lie that I'm not good. I'm not able to do all these
That
things.
you're scared.
That I'm scared.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm fearful.
So that's amazing, Judith. And what I'm realizing too is sometimes the things that we think that we're scared of are actually these great capacities that we have to create either change in the world, change in ourselves, contribute to others. And the second that I heard that you guys and Susie were going to be doing this gift of leadership class, I knew I would have to be there. I really didn't care where it was in the world, what, I just knew that that energy is such a gift to explore. And it turns out it's going to be at Gary and Dane's ranch in Texas, and that is just one of my most favorite places on the planet too. So I have lots of fun trips and other things going on until then, and I can't wait until May
We have
so
to
that we
let
can get
people
our
know
hands.
though that you're going to be hosting us at the
Yeah.
ranch. So if people choosing to come, they're going to get to experience space that you create for people when they come to the class that you host for them.
Oh, thank you
Cool,
so
thank
much.
you.
Yes, it's absolutely our pleasure. And there are some unique things about that place and travel and all sorts of things. So we have a whole document that's actually very beautiful that has lots of information, but we also love talking with any of you who are interested in coming. So feel free to message us on Facebook.
It is going to be in Houston, Texas.
17th to the 19th of May.
And it's
Yeah.
about an hour away from the Houston itself, right? The
Yeah.
ranch.
Yes. So we'll have information for you that's all laid out if you'd like just the whole thing, but a bit of an overview is that, like Chita said, it's about an hour 20 at the most, usually if you're driving outside of Houston. And it's in a setting that is, talk about pastoral and beautiful and serene and space. It's just a gorgeous place. And even though this is like a leadership workshop, you don't have to bring your button-up shirts and your and your suit jackets and your dresses and things like that. It's actually going to be great to just wear whatever's comfortable, and it will be a little warm there. So bring like a sun hat, some sunscreen, and we're actually going to be having a lot of, from what it sounds like to me, a lot of really hands-on experiences working with the horses. So, closed-toed shoes, things like that, and we'll have a whole little travel little booklet thing for you. So, and we're always available for personal questions too.
I would love to go shopping with you, Georgia, for cowboy hat and a cowboy
Oh
shirt.
yes.
Yeah, it's a
I
day.
have to
Oh
look
yes.
right to be a cowboy for 3 days.
Oh, yes. Well, if
Mhm.
anyone wants to do any shopping beforehand, there is a store called Pinto Ranch in Houston and another one called Boot Barn. And so if you would like to get decked out with cowboy hats and cowboy boots
Mhm.
and Western shirts and things and Wrangler jeans and stuff like that, you can totally go for it.
Okay,
Awesome.
so we'd just like to thank you, Brett and Georgia, for hosting us on this Facebook Live. We're so looking forward to working with you. Susie, Godsey, big kisses to you. Okay, so thank you,
Oh,
everyone. Thank you,
both.
Brett and Georgia. Love ya.
Thanks,
See you all in
guys. Love you
Houston.
too.
Bye.
Thank you
All right,
all
see ya.
so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.